Money Need Money, as well as Imada Nassar and the rest of the team, William Beche, and all of you who tend to patronize our streams as well, and the discussions that we have. And as you are well aware, we have an apology also issued by the Archbishop of Perez Chapel, and subsequently it's been on our social media pages as well, TV3 Ghana. Make sure you go look at it. But this morning we want to take a look at the whole conversation about whether the document, a birth certificate, should be one of the means by which you should be authenticated or identified as a Ghanaian. And this has come back because it's always been a conversation and reignited when we have the Chief Justice nominee, Justice Tokunu, who appeared before the Appointment Committee of Parliament. And then in the second phase, we'll talk about the promise now by the Vice President of our Republic that textbooks will be replaced with laptops. And he did indicate that my good minister, who is doing some great work with the Education Ministry, despite the difficulties we have with our finances, Dr. Yawase Duchum will make sure that that comes to fruition. But we'll look at how possible is that. You know, we have some shortages of textbooks or non-supplies at all to schools. And let me just introduce our guest for the morning. I have communicating for the government of Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the New Patriotic Party, Kofi Tonto. Kofi Tonto is here. Kofi Tonto, good morning.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
I think restful enough.
Restful enough.
I'm completing my master's program.
Oh, great.
With Arizona State University. So
you've been busy?
Yeah, it means a lot of reading over the weekend.
Okay.
Because usually you have to submit your work by 12 a.m.
Oh.
So
because of the time.
Because of the time difference. So this is the online version. You also have to do experiential version where you travel to a place and all of that. So that's taking a lot of my time.
Okay. What are you doing the master's in?
Oh, applied leadership and global management.
Okay, great.
So it's a lot of reading, discussing trade and all these things.
Just to get a better perspective of our issues.
Yeah. So quite a difficult task, considering how busy I'm already
with all the tasks.
With all the other tasks that I'm involved in. But yeah, it was quite a restful weekend, mostly home.
Okay. More grace your elbows on your academic pursuits. All right.
I hope to finish it soon.
All right.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Just send us the graduation pictures when you do.
Yeah. I finish in October, and then I have to go to Arizona for the ceremony.
All right.
Then I want to join EduG as well, to see if I can do law.
Oh, nice.
But not the EduG type law. I think Legon has a new 1-year program.
At the LLM?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's a 1-year program.
Just so that's the one I'm doing.
Just to have added knowledge.
Just to top up. Yeah, just to top up.
That's the one I'm doing.
You are doing that as well?
Yeah, so even this June, applications would open again.
Okay.
And so you have LLM, natural resource, energy law, financial markets, the bonds and others. You want to have a better understanding of it. Then you have ADR, human rights, international law, among others. Almost 16 modular courses. And it's just a year.
Yeah.
So once you are done, you can also enroll. Within a year, you have your master's in law, the LLM.
Yeah.
And it's been a very wonderful experience. And it's one of the things that Professor Raymond Atuguba, the dean, that's one of the innovations that is brought to the faculty, and it's been very, very useful. Yeah. I will encourage as many people who want to build their capacities to enroll onto the program. So this June, the online portal will open for fresh application. It is either MA or LLM.
What's the difference?
Okay, so if you have an LLB and you want to do a master's, that gives you the LLM. But so you have the first degree in law, and you want to, that gives you the LLM.
Master,
But if, for instance, you have interest in human rights, you can go and do it. There's a whole course on national security.
Okay.
And you have top industry players in the national security architecture being your lecturers, Beblo Latte, Brigadier General Kotia, and the rest. Kotia. Top security people. They are your lecturers. And the course is structured in such a way as to create a proper interface between academia and practice.
All right.
So, for instance, the natural resource, you have the likes of professors coming to teach. Senyo Hosi and Co. are all lecturers.
Okay.
In downstream petroleum. GMPC top staffs are all EPA and the rest. So it's a very fantastic course, and I urge everybody to check it out.
I agree.
It doesn't hurt to have added knowledge. A friend of mine said, that's Big G and Simon Maji. Good morning to you. He's also a legal practitioner as well with the American Chamber
you
of
have
Commerce.
this, I don't know whether you know him, the Executive Director, Institute of Energy Security, Nana Mwesi. I mean, he's one of the persons you regularly call.
He teaches there as well?
No. I mean, just this weekend, he launched an NGO or a foundation to help the people within his area where he happens to be there.
Is it the Gomwa somewhere?
No,
Ekumfi,
Ekumfi area. And it was over the weekend. So we happened to be there to help him with the lunch and to help girl child education, issues of the environment. Today, the incident of mining.
The new fishing harbor?
That's,
you were in
that's
the
Elmina.
Oh, you are talking about Ekumfi.
Is it a fishing harbor or it's a landing beach?
I think they called it a fishing harbor. Yeah, right. At Elmina. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we showed the pictures, I think was it last week.
Okay.
But I think it's a good commendation as well.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a good thing for the people of Elmina.
Yeah. And the rest of that coast as well.
Sure, I agree.
Right. I want to say good morning to Newton Jirake. Raffle Opoku, thank you for joining our stream this morning. Patrick Ngetia. We have, of course, Money Niman is a regular. Destiny Williams, you said I shouldn't be sarcastic today. I won't be. And then also we have Naomi Nabotele Bote. Naomi Nabotele Bote. And
that's a nice name.
Yeah, it's a typical Ghana name. And Naomi, I wish you all the best. And Rashid Shaban has also just joined. Albert Ellis Mensah. But let's go to Chief Justice nominee, Justice Tokono, to get an insight into citizenship. But it's just one leg really. Citizenship, if you look at the Citizenship Act itself and what the Constitution does enumerate or states, stems back from a lot of lineage. So, but let's look at this.
My second question is about another public interest. Recently, there has been a ruling by the court, and on the 17th of July 2020, My Joy Online reported, and he was quoting our colleague, the Deputy Minister at the time of Justice, as saying that, for instance, birth certificates are not a proof of nationality. And this is a comment he made in relation to a ruling from the Supreme Court. When I take the form you fill to get a birth certificate, for instance, they call it a birth registration form, Form A. B, a portion called B, particulars of mother. Under that, 9, it states a national of. So the mother has to state whether he's a Ghanaian or she's a Ghanaian or not. And then when you come to C, under that, 16, also the father, you have to state the national of the father. When you come to the certificate that is issued to the person, it is quite clearly written the nationality of the person, because the person has ticked the two boxes. The mother or the father is a Ghanaian. Therefore, he or she qualified to be a Ghanaian. So if today, the ruling, according to our colleague, is that a birth certificate is just a mere record of birth, what then is a proof of nationality in this country? And I will be very happy, because I see in front of me probably the most senior people in the judiciary in this country. And I think Ghanaians who are ordinary like me may want to know, if I hold my Ghanaian passport, is it a proof of my nationality? Is my birth certificate a proof of my nationality? So I want to understand the understanding of that ruling, why it is as if a birth certificate is not a proof of nationality. Meanwhile, on the form, you will have to certify clearly that you are a national before you are given a certificate as a national of this country.
Honorable Member, Honorable Chair, citizenship is a matter of law. Nationality is a matter of law. Certain jurisdictions, being born in that place makes you a citizen of that country. In our country, being born in Ghana doesn't make you a citizen of Ghana. It is your relationship with your mother, it is your mother's identity, your father's identity, it is your lineage that determines your citizenship. So, that form records, that form is actually an international requirement. We must know where everybody is born. That form assists to know your antecedents. But beyond that, your nationality is derived from the information on that form. It is not the evidence of your nationality. It is the beginning of appreciating how your nationality must be determined. It's an originating process.
And I want all of us to have a dispassionate conversation on the subject. Now, we'll bring you a sample. We Googled and we got a sample. Well, we have to apologize to whoever this belongs to, but it's a copy of a certificate. I'm sure it's scanned social media these days. And this is what I want all of us to have at our minds to. So we have a certified copy of entry in Register of Births. We do understand what the Chief Justice, etc., is talking about, how you acquire your citizenship. That's another matter. But after you have acquired your citizenship, by way of having one of your grandparents or parent, or before the coming into force of the 1992 Constitution, etc., and even before the 79 Constitution, before 69 Constitution, even before 1960 and 57, you have to give a certain proof that you're really a Ghanaian. So that is why we're having this conversation. Why can't we use this document as one-off to determine that you're a Ghanaian? On the current slip that we use, and this is the current one, because for example, I think in my adult life, I've had 3 birth certificates undertaken for me. The older one done by my parents, there was another one in the early part of the 2000s, another one in the middle part, and then we have the current one with a foil and authentication. You have the child's name that's there. And then you have the name fully in there, the occupation of the parents, the nationality, the maiden name. Then let's move up. Where you are born. Then you have the father's sister also. That is if it was. And then you have all that put together in there. So there's every indication on the slip that there's some trace of your lineage. That is, if you are born of one parent who is a Ghanaian or both. So there is a trace on the current slip that we use. And this is the current slip. This is a coded one, the one that could be read electronically, etc., to authenticate whether it's fake or not. So the question is, why is it that we use this to acquire a passport, to go and acquire a Ghana card, to determine you as a Ghanaian, but you cannot use this to determine you as a Ghanaian? We're having a citizenship conversation this morning. Kofi, let's discuss this. Yeah. You have lived in America.
Yeah.
Are you a citizen of the US?
No.
Okay. No. But you have lived in America.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the American system is not the same, but I mean, we're sharing experience.
Oh, no, of course. And I hope for this to be an educative
Yes, it is,
discussion, because
is.
personally, I'm still forming my position on these issues. So we can sort of
let's
learn
just
from
discuss.
each other.
Let's just discuss.
You see, Roland, do you know that you can be sitting here? I'm just citing as an example.
Oh, cite me. I'm free.
My children who were born in abroad could be, and they've never been here before, could be Ghanaians, and you sitting here will not be Ghanaian, even though you were born here. Did you know that?
I know that.
Okay. So I think that's the first thing we need to address our minds to, who a Ghanaian is and what the law defines as a Ghanaian. According to the Constitution, if you read it, it says a Ghanaian is a person born in...
Which article are you reading?
Let me check for you. 6.1, Citizenship of Ghana. Says every person who, on the coming into force of this Constitution, is a citizen of Ghana by... Oh, no, sorry. I think I screenshot the wrong one.
Okay.
But the parts that I wanted to refer
By
to...
from 6, 7,
Yeah,
and then
I think
it gives you
the
up
definition.
to 8. Yes, and then also
Okay,
subsequently.
I think
yes.
6.2. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, a person born in or outside Ghana. Emphasis on in or outside Ghana. After coming into force of this Constitution, shall become a citizen of Ghana at the date of his birth, if either of his parents or grandparents is or was a citizen of Ghana.
That is not in doubt.
Yes. So if you listen to Justice Tokonu, for example, she referenced this, that by being born in Ghana alone is not enough for you to be a Ghanaian. And I like the word you used. You just said something about trace. Is that correct?
Yes, lineage.
Yeah, lineage. And she also said that, but she used a different word. She said the citizenship form or the birth certificate is the beginning, essentially reinforcing the same argument you made. So it's not something that's not considered at all. It's the beginning of identifying who you are. As you rightfully said, it's the trace of identifying who you are. So for me, the instances where I've seen people applying for passports, for example, you provide your birth certificate, but it doesn't end there. You have to provide guarantors, and you also have to provide a witness. So it's not just your birth certificate that you use to do your passport. It's your birth certificate, and I believe plus 2 guarantors, plus a witness. So it's part of the documentation, but it's not the final and only documentation. Reinforcing the argument that Justice Tokonu was making, that it is the beginning, or as you said, it's part of the tracing of your lineage. So I don't see where the issue is. As it stands, our Constitution is clear that being born in Ghana or outside of Ghana to at least one Ghanaian parent or one Ghanaian grandparent makes you a Ghanaian. So let's take my child, for example. My child was born in Canada. The mother is Canadian. So if we take the child's birth certificate, it will say his name, where he was born, the mother's name. It may not. I don't have. I have the sample, but I'll pull it when Eduji is speaking to see if it says the nationality of the mother as well. So I'm saying that let's take a different country where the nationality is not stated, of the parent is not stated on the birth certificate. Does that take away from the person being a Ghanaian? No, it doesn't. But at least it gives you an indication. It gives you a trace. So the birth certificate serves as one of the many forms of documents or many forms of guarantees that you use to establish a person's identity as a Ghanaian. But it is not the finality and the only document required. And I think there isn't any ambiguity here. maybe those who were born before the coming into force of this constitution, we probably have to look at what the definition was then to see if a birth certificate alone will be satisfactory. But as it stands now with the 1992 constitution, I think the birth certificate, I can agree that the birth certificate is not enough to determine a person's nationality. It's part of it, but it's not the only thing that should be used.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Eduji, the reason why I wanted us to have this conversation, my producers also agreed, was that the Constitution doesn't state that you use your birth certificate, all right? It says how you trace your nationality or how you determine your nationality, okay? So there are even determinations on whether if you're a child, you're under 7 and you were found on the streets, etc.
Instances,
Right.
yeah.
So the question basically we're discussing this morning is about why is it that a certain documentation where at birth a child, and we're talking today, we're not talking before 1992, etc. A child is born at the Tema General Hospital, the rich hospital. The processes are undertaken for the institution that is just across the streets where we have the SEP's office, for you to go and do the registration based on a certain determination of witnesses as well. Okay. A father or a mother who were there at birth.
You see,
because, for example,
Roland, listen to me. Roland,
so that's why.
Roland. You see,
that's why I want us to have this conversation.
Roland, you see. First of all, I'd give it an indication earlier on the LLM.
Yes.
It's actually open. It ends 30th of June.
Oh, nice.
So it's
open now to 30th.
Exactly.
Okay, great. We have to surcharge University of Ghana, Legon Law Faculty, because the way I'm giving them advert this morning.
But you see, this whole discussion about your birth cert became an issue within a particular environment and time. I strongly believe that with a different time, possibly the Supreme Court will come to a different decision. And let me say this. You see, in 2020, when the Supreme Court had the occasion to decide on this matter, there was a raging political issue. What was the issue? The Electoral Commission had put a new CI in Parliament to do away with CI 92. Because at that time, the president at all costs wanted a new voters register. Against all advice, sound, they said no. So for the first time, if you notice, our development partners decided that they will not support the compilation of a new voters register. Government solely took that responsibility in the midst of COVID. So there was an issue at the court that in Ghana, by reason of Article 42, to be a registered voter, there are 3 qualifications: citizenship, soundness of mind, 18 years and above. Now, how do you make a determination of 2? Because in our voters register, the problem or the challenge has always been 2 of the qualification: age and nationality or citizenship. And the thing is that the age requirement, we don't want minors to be on the register. 2, we don't also want foreigners deciding who should be our president. So 2 critical issues. Now, at the court was the conversation that let's use the existing voters card then, because on the face of it, your age is on it, your citizenship on it, so let's use it. The court said no. Then there was another layer that in this country, to prove who you are, the primary document is your birth cert. It's your birth. Hold on.
Who you are.
Who you are as a Ghanaian.
Okay.
The primary document is your birth cert. Now, the birth cert does 2 things to Article 42. 1, it establishes your age, because on the face of your birth cert is the year you were born. So you can easily verify on the basis of the birth cert whether the person is 18 or a minor. And if the person is a minor, you will not allow the person to be on the voters' roll. 2, on the face of it, if it is shown that the person's birth cert shows that the person is not a Ghanaian, then prima facie, he cannot be on our voters' register. Now, and thankfully you have a copy, a sample of the birth cert. On the birth certificate is mother's name or father's name. Now, beyond that, there's a second layer. That second layer is nationality of parents. So either your mom is a Ghanaian or Togolese, Beninois, and American. So like in the classic case of Kofi Tonto, your kids' birth certs,
let me put the example.
even if they are born in Canada, will show that their father is a Ghanaian.
But it could be.
Hold on. No, calm down. Calm down. I'll calm down.
I've acquired a Canadian citizenship.
Don't worry.
They may state my Canadian citizenship.
So that is when you come and make a claim for your citizenship later.
Okay. Hold on, so I'm coming. So on the face of the birth cert will show that the child's mother is a Canadian, but the father is a Ghanaian.
I could be a Canadian.
Now
too.
in Ghana, you don't need both parents to be Ghanaian. Only one is enough for you to attain the citizenship. So, regrettably, in 1963, the High Court was faced with a similar situation. The judge then, Justice Redu, was to determine whether or not the son of the Togolese president, Olympio, was a Ghanaian or not, by reason of deportation arrangement. And the High Court, even the High Court, in 1963, took the view that by reason solely of the fact that the mom or the mother is from the southern part of what you call Volta region today,
Transvolta.
then he is what? A Ghanaian. Right? So our citizenship law is not a straight jacket. It's a bit more complex. And if you pick the birth cert, on the face of it, it's a prima facie determination. That is why it is called prima facie. It can be rebutted. Where, for instance, additional evidence is produced to show that, okay, on the child of my friend Kofi Tonto, Kofi had now become a Canadian. So when he gave birth to them in Canada, it will show father Canadian, mother Canadian. However, Kofi has additional layer of citizenship, that is, he is also a Ghanaian. So when Kofi's child comes to Ghana, Kofi will now provide that additional information to regularize it. What it does is to add. It does not subtract. So if you pick your birth cert, on the face of it, you have these two qualifications for Article 42, citizenship each. And so if anybody is given any, and like I said, you see, if you are having a conversation on this matter, you must situate it within the time the decision was given. And the decision was given at the very critical stage of our country, the voter registration exercise. If you take that time out of the conversation, you miss the plot. You miss the plot. Because there were the two things to be established with your birth cert. But you see, interestingly enough, you know, in Ghana here, we passed what is known as the National Identity Register Act, 2008. In 2017, the act was amended. So we have the National Identity Register Act 2008 at 750, right? Then we also have an amendment done to the act in 2017, which is now known as the National Identity Register into bracket Amendment Act 2017 Act 950. Now look, Section 4 of Act 950. Let me just read. If you look at Section 4, it says that a person who desires for your Ghana card, for instance, you want a Ghana card, right? One of the documents you need to produce is your birth cert.
But it's not all the ticked criteria.
No, what I'm saying is that
one off.
That's why I use the word one off.
Yeah. Meaning there are others.
What are the others?
So share it.
So don't put premium on the others because it doesn't even help. What does the law say? Section 4.
Don't also argue just to favor your point of argument. I think we generally
we are educating us.
No, that's what. No, so I just want to read the act on its own.
Okay.
It says that the personal information required to be recorded in the register in respect of an individual who applies to be registered shall include. So it's not like may, please. Shall.
It's obligatory.
That person's full name, sex, date of birth, place and country of birth, nationality, residential address, marital status, level of education, employment status, birth certificate number. So even to get Ghana card now, as established by law.
I actually use my birth certificate.
Good. As established by law, you need your birth certificate number. And on the face of that birth certificate, the nationality of your parent, because you see, you draw your nationality either by naturalization or by reason of birth, right?
By reason of...
Or your parents, when I use birth.
Okay.
Who gave birth to you?
Okay, sure.
So you are not on a stateless something. The person who gave birth to you, that is where you draw. But if you want to acquire additional nationality, that's your own cup of tea. But the primary source of your nationality is who gave birth to you. Hold on.
When you read the law,
so if you see
beyond who gave birth to you.
We're talking about use. Why is it that we can't use the certificate as
because it's the primary proof.
Primary document.
It's the primary proof.
Because now it's been precluded from some other actions of citizenship responsibility of the state.
In law, you see, in law, they will tell you that there's nothing that is sacrosanct. What the thing or a document does is to give you a prima facie information. So that if you have doubt,
you contest
it. But until it is contested, it is taken on the face of it. So if I have my birth cert, right, and you come and say, no, this birth certificate is not Eduji's, or Eduji is a Nigerian, but had fraudulently acquired a Ghanaian birth cert, the onus lies on you because I have it. Which can happen. So the law simply says it becomes a prima facie proof. If you think, then you rebut whatever it is. So in this particular instance, you are, for instance, saying that I am not. So the burden is on you. And the classic case, if you recall, there was this guy called Bilson. He had challenged Rawlings in 1992 when Rawlings had wanted to contest for the NDC presidential candidate. The man comes and says, even you, Rawlings,
your father is a Scottish.
Your father is a Scottish. So you can't be the presidential candidate of NDC. Because, quote unquote, you are dual what? National. And so you owe allegiance to UK by reason of the fact that your father was or is a Scottish. And so the matter came up to the court, the High Court. The High Court presided over judges, I think it's Bonzi or something, took the view that no. First of all, if you are alleging, the burden is on you. I have my birth cert. I have been a military officer, like in the case of Jerry Rawlings. I've taken the oath of allegiance to Ghana, first as a soldier, military heads of state. I've taken the oath of allegiance. So if you are coming to say that I owe allegiance to a country other than Ghana, the burden is on you to establish that. But the point I am making here relative to this birth certificate issue is that you need to situate it within the political environment that the decision was given.
I disagree.
And if you put it within that conversation, it becomes very clear the reason then.
All right.
And that is why it has almost become impossible to provide a justification. You see, like I always say, when God created all of us, one of the things that he gave all of us is the ability to reason and to be logical. And so if you are asking me that I should prove my citizenship, and I bring a birth certificate that was issued in 1980s, somewhere in Nkwanta. If you look at the birth cert, you can see
that black and white one.
That black and white one. That this is my birth certificate. In fact, in some of the cases, the courts have even said that even a mere baptismal certificate will be enough How much more? And the painful part of this whole conversation is that who issues the birth set? The birth set is not issued by an individual seated somewhere in a corner. It is a document issued by the executive arm of government. It is not something like Kwanche, you go and buy Wache in some gutter side or something. No. Okay. It is coming from state agencies. So how in God's name, if any one of us is traveling, we go with our passport, correct? If we are traveling, we go with our passport.
Yeah, of course.
Good.
Outside of the country.
Good. How come that you don't deny the passport you have? Because the issuing authorities are all executive, correct? The person who gives you the birth cert is the same executive. The guy who gives you the passport. But you believe that your passport, but interestingly enough, before you get a passport in this country, look, I had to do passport for my own daughter. The first document they ask, there's a place they call verification. When you get to the verification point, without the birth cert, they won't give you the passport.
Yeah. And I said that.
They won't give you the passport.
Okay, Kofi.
So a document so essential, primary, how do we downplay it? Okay. And I would suggest that any government that will come after this Akufo-Addo administration,
I think it's because there's a court.
After, hold on, please, I beg you. After this Akufo-Addo administration, must go back to the Citizenship Act and make this proposition for an amendment of the Act to make the birth cert an essential component.
It should be put in the Act?
Yes, in the Act, the Citizenship Act, to make it an essential component
for a
Ghanaian.
For it to go.
And you see, the reason why I make this point, that if you look at the old Citizenship Act, for instance, for dual nationals, it made it mandatory that if you are a dual national, if you come to Ghana, you must go and obtain another document to show that you are a dual national. Professor Stephen Asari, and let me applaud him for the public-spirited, advocacy that he's been doing. He took the matter to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, look, the requirement on a Ghanaian citizen to go for an additional document to demonstrate that he or she is a dual national is unconstitutional. It should be optional. The reason is that Kofi here, if he acquires American citizenship, right, he being a Ghanaian, it's not by accident. It came by reason of his birth. So if you are asking him that he should go and procure additional documentation to demonstrate that he's a Ghanaian, problematic. And on this basis, let me conclude.
We're going into the realms of dual citizenship.
What you should know is that, see, today as we speak, it will be easier for Kofi's son or daughter to become a Canadian prime minister or minister in Canada than for his own son to become a minister or president in Ghana.
But that is how
the law politically we have convoluted.
Who has convoluted what?
All right. So yesterday when I posted this on social media, and then on Twitter people said I had no knowledge of the law, and that's the law. But that's why we have these conversations, to be able to educate ourselves. Now, because you have more so experiential moment or moment of experiences, for example, with your children who have other nationality, even here in Ghana, let's say somebody lives in the fringes of our borders or in the hinterland, not necessarily along our borders as well, goes to a community hospital or clinic or wherever, and then they are, after birth in the process, trying to offer that person the service of registration of birth. Present at the birth will be me, the mother, or etc., for registration purposes. And I am a Ghanaian, or I could be a Malian headsman, or I could be a Fulani or something like that. There is a determination that has been made already on that surface of the document that you put your nationality there, right? So the certificate can preclude and include and determine who is a Ghanaian or not a Ghanaian. Is that not? It's not the same thing.
But even the example you just provided,
yes,
at the time of birth, where the child's information is being procured or taken to form the birth certificate, who establishes or validates the nationality of the parent at the moment, at that time?
And at the time, the parents wouldn't have been there.
No, I'm saying that when a birth certificate, so a child is born, and you are saying that you are there as the father, is it a claim you make as a Ghanaian, or is it proof you provide as a Ghanaian? Do you get my point?
Yes, I get you.
So we need to even check how that Ghanaian nationality is determined on the certificate. So you have given birth here, right? Or Eduji, I don't know, but I haven't given birth here, so I don't know. But when you give birth here and you are getting the certificate of the child, and you say that you are a Ghanaian, what shows that you are a Ghanaian? What evidence do you give at the time of making the birth certificate to determine that indeed you are a Ghanaian?
Is that what makes the document? That's the best. Let's put the birth certificate there again. That makes it contestable.
Possibly. I don't know if that is all the reason. Possibly. You see, history counts for something. In the US, it's because of their history. As an example, why a person born in the US, whether your parents are from there or not, once you are born there, you are a Ghanaian. But in this country, if I am, let's say, Togolese, and I've lived here for 20 years...
We're not talking about birth. We're talking about the certification indicating that you are a Ghanaian. It's not about where you are born.
No. I'm just trying to tell you that...
Okay, give us the experience of
something determines what the laws... I mean, you are a lawyer. Laws are not just made for making laws' sake. Our history guides us. So many things go into why laws are made. And I'm citing an example to you how the US laws were made, because it's an immigrant country. So a person born in the US is given automatic citizenship because it's deemed that we all came from somewhere into this country. But in Ghana, our circumstances are different. Our circumstances are different. So it may not be as easy for a person to acquire Ghanaian citizenship just by being born here.
I mean, you are getting a whole thing confused. You see?
No,
I mean, interactive.
Okay.
Kofi, just interrupt.
No, please. So this argument is not about citizenship.
No, it's about the
it's about the use of the birth certificate.
Kofi didn't want to take it.
Please.
You see, what?
We're not having this discussion because of citizenship.
What triggered this?
Please, let him make his point.
No, just 30 seconds. Kofi, you see, what triggered this whole conversation, like I said, was in 2020.
Yeah.
There was a conversation
I know that.
To prove these two elements under Article 42.
I know
the requirement of citizenship and age.
I know that.
Which document better prove these two things? The argument was made that on the face of your birth cert is the year you were born. So by simple calculation, you can determine on the face of that document whether the person is 18 or less. If it's less, the law doesn't permit him to be on the register. On the face of the document, you have hometown of mother, hometown of father, or those other information. So, for instance, Kofi appeared before with his birth cert showing that the mother is from, say, Ejiso. I'm just saying for the purpose of example. The father is from Kpando, right? Prima facie, on the face of this document, two requirements of Article 42 have been established. His citizenship and that of. Unless, of course, Kofi is saying that even though the mother's hometown is Ejiso, she's not a Ghanaian. That's impossible. So there is, you see, I'm being very cautious because, you see, at the core of this is a conversation as to logic.
When you listen to Justice Tokonu, she used a word, lineage. She said, Ghana, your identity or your Ghanaian identity is determined by your lineage. And when you read the definition, it doesn't end at your parents. It goes further to your grandparents, reinforcing the notion that our identity is lineage.
When you say lineage, what do you mean?
I'm giving you lineage.
When you say lineage, what does it mean? Nothing.
Because you see, Eduji, you see, the thing is...
Well, lineage is well described in the law, but
has to mean what?
So you have the definition of how
pre 1957,
exactly.
pre 1960, yes. But all those determinations end within the present day before the coming into force of the 1992 Constitution. Because the 1992 Constitution does indicate if you were a citizen before 1992 or coming into force of this Constitution,
you maintain it.
You are
deemed. Of course.
So we are talking about today.
Of course.
All that period up to today.
In fact, if you look at the 1992 Constitution, it says all you need to establish is just one grandparent.
Yes, or one parent. Of course.
So we're not talking about... Please not confuse the conversation.
So you can place a grandparent to say Dahomey or Benin.
We're not talking about that.
But subsequently, the other one is a Ghanaian. That's enough.
I'm saying that. So Kofi Mensah. Kofi Mensah has his daughter.
This decision was done
his daughter
during the voters register thing.
Stop politicizing this.
No, I'm not. I am not politicizing it. I'm giving
Kofi, let me create a scenario. Let me create a scenario for you.
Kofi
Mensah gives birth.
Okay.
That's the registration. Kofi Mensah is there as father. Then we have the nationality line or space indicating that Kofi Mensah as the father is a Ghanaian.
Sure.
Nationality Ghana.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, after doing that registration, I cannot use...
That was my question. How was Kofi Mensah's nationality determined?
Kofi Mensah is already a Ghanaian up to the time he gave birth.
I know.
Coming into force of the 1992 Constitution,
issued,
he's already a Ghanaian. So that's
a vetting. You know it.
That's why I was trying to come
That's a vetting. So even if you say you are a Ghanaian, before you even put on the birth set itself that Kofi Tonto is a Ghanaian, you do some vetting.
What is the vetting process?
So, I mean...
What is the vetting process? That's what I'm saying. When I was in Washington, for example, if somebody comes to acquire a passport, I don't know, what happens is you give your birth certificate as part of tracing your identity. But then beyond that, you also have to provide 2 guarantors and a witness. And that's why the lady said, it is not something that's not considered at all. It is considered as part of the process. They didn't say that we don't consider birth certificates at all. Unless that's what you are suggesting.
No, so
consider birth certificates.
You see, you are being, let me use the word, progressive. You said at least consideration is given to rates.
No, but the lady said it.
Please, we are talking about a decision of the court.
What did you said they didn't provide any justification?
I am saying
have
that
you seen
a decision
the verdict
of the court.
Have you seen the verdict?
Which verdict?
The written statement. Have you seen it?
Which verdict?
When they passed the law, didn't they provide?
No. Okay, so that's why you are confusing two things. You see, for instance, at the vetting, 2 decisions came up. Question.
Not the vetting. I'm talking about the ruling.
So in the actual Supreme Court ruling, which judgment my Lord Justice Professor Ashikoti wrote?
Yes, I'm saying they provided
justification. Was provided.
Yeah. Yes, but you said they didn't provide justification.
No, but that's the justification in there. But I'm saying that...
You don't agree with the justification.
If you are saying that a determination as to whether a person is a citizen or is above 18 years old, those 2 qualifications to be registered cannot be deciphered or obtained on the face of a birth certificate, then it becomes problematic. Because on your birth certificate, Kofi, your birth certificate, is your age not there?
It is.
Can I not infer you are 18 or below?
Of course.
On your birth cert, is it not on it that your father or mother is a Ghanaian?
Of course.
By reason of that, are you not therefore a Ghanaian?
Of course. And that's why the lady said,
please,
it is not completely...
Kofi, stop these things.
No.
Stop it. You see, we are the young people of this country. And you see, the reason why I'm particularly a bit uncomfortable, when I see people like you, right?
Yeah.
Associate with some of these things. The pain I have...
No, I'm not associating with anything.
The pain I have is that, you see, we are making it extremely difficult for the people who will come after us. Our world today is a bit more complex than their world. Look, Kofi, it may well happen that your kids may decide that they don't even want to have any association with Ghana, even though their father is a Ghanaian. And like I always make the point, look at someone
their
like...
mother is a Ghanaian.
Sorry. Yeah. Look at someone like Obama. How easy Obama became president of the United States of America. But I can bet you, Obama will struggle to become the president of Kenya.
Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we doing this to ourselves?
But Aduji,
it's painful.
So you are going into the nitty-gritties of our law. What I can agree is that let's look at the law if we so deem
now,
it appropriate.
Kofi, the question about do we need to have a certain reconsideration about whether the certificate should be a primary document for determining some individuals who are citizens of the country born within the period when the 1992
I don't have a problem with it. And that's what I've said from the beginning, that we are educating ourselves. I only sought to provide the position of the justice, that it is part of the documentation. They are not saying it's not part of it. But if we all deem it appropriate, that let's make it the primary source, provided we've put in place all the mechanisms to make that document legitimate. Because we all know the problems that are associated with documentation in this country. We all know. So, FDG, perhaps we can all advocate for it becoming the primary source for establishing your identity. But then it must go beyond just establishing that. Because we know there's challenges in our systems.
All right.
So we can have that conversation. I don't have a problem. Like I said from the beginning, I personally don't have any issue, if it's the birth certificate.
All right.
But I want to make sure that that birth certificate is a legitimate birth certificate.
You don't think that the birth certificate issued by the birth and death registry is legitimate?
But Roland, we all know the challenges associated with. Even there's been improvement, admittedly. There's been great improvement. But there are still instances where people are acquiring birth certificates.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, there are still instances. That's what I'm saying.
But just like all forms of documentation we're using to determine citizenship, they are all
fraught with
duplicated.
challenges. I know. They are all, and that's why I'm saying that since we are all advocating for a direction, it shouldn't end at advocacy of that direction. It should also include...
It should be holistic.
Holistic.
Okay.
So that when that document becomes the sole or primary...
No, it shouldn't be the sole. We're saying that why is it precluded? It is not added, though.
No, but it's always been part of it. The issue is whether it's the primary document. Is that not so?
Because ultimately, it leads to you acquiring your...
Ghana card, your passport, all of it. It's always been part of it.
And that enables you to undertake your universal adult suffrage responsibility.
Which is voting. Yes, I agree.
Because it's a very thorny issue in Ghana, that's why.
Roland, let's establish here, the fact is that it is part of it. The birth certificate is part of it.
So we're opening phone lines. Yeah. We want you to come and join us. I think we have Nimani and the rest on Facebook who want us to open. So we're open phone lines for 5 minutes. That's what my producer says we can do. I have this one from Leonard Sedro. He's a legal practitioner. And Leonard Sedro says, Roland, the Supreme Court's judgment on birth certificate was an injustice. And same cannot be rationalized without sounding grotesque. No. Now I have Amin. Amin says, why is it that someone can acquire a Ghana card to determine citizenship or to be identified as a Ghanaian with the birth certificate as one of the documents, and then it doesn't determine you to be a Ghanaian? Good morning. And this one is from Kingsley J. Chado. Says, how did Justice Gertrude Tokonu know that she's from Ghana? And how do her parents also know that they are Ghanaians? If the birth certificate is not important documentation. Well, before 1992 Constitution, we have it in the Citizenship Act. We have Graham. Graham from La Paz. Good morning to you.
Hello.
Good morning. Please make sure you lower the volume of your TV or the set you're watching or the device. And then let's talk. Please, your contribution quickly on this subject. Should we use the birth certificate as the authentic primary document for citizenship as well?
Yeah, it should be used as an authentic document because everything that we do is part of it. So I don't know why they should be taken out. And then one more thing, the guy in the green, he says he's a Canadian or whatever, he doesn't.
He's a Ghanaian. He's the Ghanaian.
He's a Ghanaian.
Please, let's not use him as a subject of conversation.
Definitely.
Okay, please go ahead. Make your contribution.
Okay, so it should be part of the, how do you call it, the document to verify that you were Ghanaian. Because if you're going to trace back to the lineage, it won't be anything possible. But then in the United States, the other foreign countries, that's what they do, the same thing. If you come into the country, you give the automatic become the citizenship. That's what they do. And then there's one thing, there's one thing we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a Kenyan and an American. Mozambique, American. It's the same thing. I hope you get my point. So it should be one document that should be used to verify people's college.
All right.
Yeah, nationality. Thanks.
All right. I want to put this caveat here as well. We have what the law says. So we're just having this discussion as part of our education and then knowledge sharing.
For the next call, just by way of education.
Please, the phone lines are still open.
We want to be interactive. You see, if you look at section 33 of the Birth Registration Act,
okay.
It says this: every certificate purporting to be issued under this act shall be admissible in any court as prima facie evidence of the fact certified to be recorded, and every certified copy purporting to be issued under this act shall be so admissible as prima facie evidence of the fact recorded therein. No. So on the face of your birth,
but that one you were right.
If you say that you are a Ghanaian national,
Aziz,
I mean,
Aziz,
so
calling out from up north,
you
Tamale.
deny, then
Aziz,
you prove that I'm not. Or
Aziz,
I don't disagree.
Aziz.
Yeah, hello.
Aziz, how are you? Please lower the volume on your TV.
Fine.
Are you a
Good
Ghanaian?
morning. Good morning. Yeah, I'm a Ghanaian.
Okay. Do you have a birth certificate?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Please, your contribution to this discussion, please.
I think the best cert cannot actually the sole comment and require all this.
nobody has said so.
No, we're not. Okay.
In Tamale here, we are foreigners from Nigeria, from what do you call it, Mali and those things.
Niger.
And then, yes. So now, are you telling me that in case they give birth to a child in Tamale here, and they want to prepare the birth certificate, are they going to put Niger on?
Yes.
Yes, they'll put Niger.
They will vet you.
That is why we have.
Majority of them are just like the Gombes. They are just like Tamale people. So they put Tamale, but that does not mean they are from
You should
Ghana.
not confuse the issues.
Yeah, so the birth and death registry.
The majority are putting Tamale, Ghana, nationality, they are not.
How do you know they are not? By looking at their face.
But we know
Excuse my
them.
language.
No, don't argue with him. He's making a point.
No, but you need
No,
to put it right.
no, Ediji, please. Yes, please. I'm listening to you.
I'm telling you for a fact.
No.
There are some people, if you know we those who are here, you don't even know that it's not from Tamale, it's not from Ghana. Meanwhile, it's not.
No,
Some
but
of them have been here for the past 20 years. Okay, so they could even speak the language fluent, but they don't have their parents here. They only travel and came here.
I understand. So it's the responsibility of the birth and death registry to make sure that they don't make entries that are not supposed to be made. That is why they have that responsibility. So I don't get your point.
I agree with what Kofi says.
Right. Aziz, I grant you that as well. That's your view. Thank you very much, Aziz. Phone lines are still open. Please join the conversation. The conversation.
Roland, let me say this. Let me say this again. I think some people have the impression, the first caller, a lot of people may have this false impression. The birth certificate is part of the process. Oh, let's not create the impression that it's not considered at all. It is part of the process. Please, those listening to us, the birth certificate is part of the process. And Justice Tokonu said so, that it is the beginning of the process. I want to emphasize that.
Yeah, true. Joshua.
Hello.
Joshua.
Good morning.
Yeah, you're a Nigerian in Tamale, right?
Yes, please.
Are you a Nigerian from Niger?
Pardon me.
Please reduce the volume of your set and let's talk. Okay, reduce the volume of your TV. Don't try to listen to me on TV or your device.
Please, I'm not by any TV. I'm just sitting in my hall.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Please, what's your view on this subject? Why is it that you, Joshua, registered, or you have registered your child, and that child's registration certificate cannot be the only documentation to say that he or she is a Ghanaian, but rather you have to add all the other criteria or criterion documents? So
well, that is why I've called to also give my view. You see, in fact, I was surprised hearing Madam Otukono saying that the birth cert cannot fully determine whether you are Ghanaian.
Because that is the law.
And I don't know why that law has been there since long, and our leadership will not, do something about it. And today it is coming up. Didn't we have leadership since 1957 till date, and we cannot ascertain what documents can actually primarily tell that a person is a Ghanaian citizen? Why? Why is this so? She was talking about having your parents being Ghanaian before you can become a Ghanaian. Mm-hmm. How about those parents? What shows that those parents are also Ghanaian? And that shows that their parents, grandparents are also Ghanaians.
Because that's the law.
Some people will have to come attest to it that this person is from Ghana, this person is from Ghana, before you know that this is a Ghanaian, and that his child is also a Ghanaian. And what at all can we use to prove that those people or that lineage chain are also Ghanaians?
All right, Joshua.
So it is a complex. We need to have a legal document, a primary document that this document tells that this particular person is a Ghanaian.
Joshua, we had a caller from Tamale who said, that's Aziz. Aziz says that within the precinct of Tamale, for example, there are various nationals within the West African sub-region who are domiciled or resident there. They've been there 20 years, 30 years. So it will be difficult to determine whether somebody is a Ghanaian in some jurisdictions or areas in Ghana.
Very good. So such persons, they have stayed in the country for a long time. Politically, in fact, politically, they say when you stay in an area for 5 years or above, you are qualified to vote in that area or something, or you are qualified
you are not speaking law. I think we'll grant you that. Thank you very much.
Making a point that you should advert your mind.
Yes, he's making a citizenship conversation.
You see, that is where somebody like Aziz gets it wrong. People use their suspicion or fear to form some of these views. So let me just say, I mean, for the sake of analysis, our second lady, Samira, she's not the second lady of this country. She works to a registration center in Tamale. Aziz is there. Then she tells the person doing the registration that, oh, she is Fulani by birth, right? By reason of her make, she is Fulani. If Aziz,
Samira looks like a Fulani.
No, I'm just saying, if she's there, Aziz, right there and there, we say, no, don't register her because she is what? Fulani. But what Aziz may not know is that Samira's grandparent or great-great-grandparent were here before independence, had acquired Ghanaian nationality, but she still remains what? A Fulani. That is the problem. So this whole thing is based on suspicion.
Because you can be a Fulani and be a Ghanaian.
Yes, and the whole idea...
You can be a Hausa and be a Ghanaian.
The whole idea is the suspicion our friends in the NPP have created.
Jesus Christ.
No, you remember where Dr. Bamia said about 75,000 people were voters? No,
Eric,
you know the truth, but you don't want to say
it. Eric, good morning.
Yes, please, as it stands now, I don't even know whether I am a Ghanaian or not.
Please state again. I didn't hear you well.
Yes, I said as it stands now, I don't even know whether I'm a Ghanaian or not.
What do you mean by that, Eric?
Stop being
mischievous.
What is happening now? I have my birth certificate, I have everything. But what I want to say is, I listened to Aziz saying there are a lot of people having this thing. I think when Aisha One was called, she was found with the Ghana card. How did she come to get it? So the same way a lot of people are having this thing, a lot of people are also having the Ghana card, which is now used as the only distance for registering to vote or do the other stuff.
All
So
right.
I think it's almost the same, and we cannot just use the Ghana card and leave our birth cert and the rest.
Points made. I think that you've made your points, though. But again,
Sure.
by way of education, all of us should know the birth certificates, the Ghana card. You can be a foreigner and still acquire them.
Yeah.
But there's an indication or an
nationality.
indicative space that is
Non-nationals.
available to determine whether you're a Ghanaian or not. So they say nationality, then you write Ghana, Canada, Ethiopia, Togo, wherever.
There's even a notation that says non-citizen.
non-national.
Yes. So we have one for non-nationals as well. Yeah. So, okay. So we have a couple of messages. Patrick Kubesika says that this was a political judgment, simplicity. That's from Stan Chinchilla. So I'm taking our last caller. From Kumasi, I have Ya. Frimpong.
Yes, hello.
Sorry, I called you, Ya. You're a male, sorry. Frimpong from Kumasi, please make your points known.
Roland, I'm from Pong. Good
Yes,
morning.
please. Yes, please, go ahead.
I want to join this conversation. Like, I think I agree with Aziz because, me, for instance, my nephew was going to school and then he needed a birth cert. So I didn't even go to the birth certificate, the
Birth and
registry
death registry, okay.
to apply for it. I just had someone's number. I sent the information.
Because
So
you are
if
corrupt.
I'm a
You are supposed to go to
Togolese
the institution.
and then
Frimpong, you are supposed to go to the institution.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm supposed to go there. Like I'm talking in
Your experience.
yeah, like what has he said? What has he said? That is true. We have a case where people are not Ghanaian, but they will get a card. They'll get a certificate, just a mere like sending the information to those at the registration center, and then they will do the certificate for them. So I think they need to up their game at the registry. There are so many things are going on there, so it makes them the certificate questionable if someone is having that certificate. Because I've done it before, not that like hearsay. I'm saying it. That I send the information to someone at the registry.
Frimpong, you are a Goro boy. You are just giving, please, your location in Kumasi so that we'll bring the police. I mean, that's just on the lighter side, Frimpong. Thank you for calling us and sharing your experience. But we can't do the second issue. We'll just pick one line. But I think ending on this. No interruption from you, Aduji. Today, I don't know what you drank, so please. I just give you 2 minutes. Just wrap up on this.
I think this is a great discussion. Perhaps what we need to do as a people is to get the experts together and come up with some framework for us to determine who a Ghanaian is. Because clearly, we don't seem to agree on the definition of the law. Edigi has some great points, and I certainly agree with some of the points he made. But I also find some challenges with how these documents are procured, as evidenced by the young gentleman who just spoke. So I think we need to really, as a people, take time, think through who qualifies as a Ghanaian, and then take a decision that will be beneficial for all of us. Maybe it calls for the referendum, re-looking at our constitution again, to make sure that we correct some of the issues. It's not just the citizenship issue. There are several other issues in our constitution that require us looking at. So I think it's been a great education. I've learned some things from Eduji. But finally, I want to say that the birth certificate is part of the process. It's simply not the only document or the primary document, but it is certainly part of the process.
All right.
You see, you see, on this vest issue.
Suleimana Abdullahi, if I said anything derogatory, I apologize. All right.
But you see,
we're all having a conversation.
Yes,
so.
Roland, you see, I've always been cautious on the conversation that has anything to do with citizenship. And the reason is this. You see, the current president of Ivory Coast, right? What's the name?
Ouattara.
Ouattara rose, became prime minister. And for political expediency, one day they woke up and said, Ouattara is not an Ivorian.
Why are you saying this?
The reason why I'm saying this is that, you see, anytime people's nationality and others are unjustly questioned, in some other countries, it has been the basis of turmoil. And if you look at the problem that happened after Ouattara's issues, it became one of these topical because of the questioning about his nationality. So I am saying that we need, as a people, to be cautious. To the point that if there is anything that has the potential of questioning either Kofi or myself here, whether we are Ghanaian or not, we need to be very slow about it. In judgment. So that we do not unnecessarily, by reason of a stroke of a pen, black and white, say a group of A, B, C, D persons are not. Do you know that the U.S. Supreme Court, there was a time, I think Dred and Scott.
I don't know that.
Yes. Have taken a decision that even a full-grown black man, blah, blah, could be kept as a slave. Right? So let not it be said that once it is handed over by a court, in and of itself brings conclusion to the matter. It may not.
But that's why there's a need for...
So, for instance, there was a time... No. There was a time where the U.S. Supreme Court had justified slavery. With the benefit of time, the same court said, no, slavery is dehumanizing. We need to have it abolished. There was a time in the U.S. that you could not have a black white in the same classroom. You remember the segregation laws. Yeah. Then it went to the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court took a decision that no, it is unconstitutional. So the point should be made that time and season
can change the
can
law.
change
No, I
perspective.
agree.
And that is why I believe that once we wait for that, there should be a political commitment from all our political leaders that this whole issue of declaring some people, you are this, you are not this document can do, let's bring finality to it. And I make this point because many of us may be married to people who may not necessarily be Ghanaian. Our kids eventually take the nationality because one parent is a Ghanaian. Yeah. So we need to be very cautious. We need to be very cautious. There's no basis whatsoever
and
for this
very quickly,
continual polarizing conversation. It doesn't help this
just
country.
For education, if I have a minute. When we were doing the evacuation, there were instances where...
What evacuation?
The Ukraine
COVID evacuation.
I thought you
when we were doing it...
in medical sense, evacuation means...
during the COVID time, the government evacuated Ghanaians abroad.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
The definition we were given was person holding a Ghanaian identity or a resident. And sometimes the residents were non-Ghanaians. So somebody can be called Kojo Mansa. You definitely this person is a Ghanaian. But we may take the Nigerian holding a residence card because that person that person is not holding a Ghanaian identity. Even though everything shows that they are Ghanaian. Okay. But they are not having a Ghanaian identity. Okay. So you can't take them. So you have to take a non...
But you see, for instance, our electoral laws, for instance, until recently, now, even the law now, do you know that you can have two citizens just coming to vouch that Kwejo is?
Now, so if we want to change that in
now, can you imagine? We are saying that two words, the words from the mouth of two people is enough. But the birth set issued from an official source,
which has your parents,
all of them,
of Ghanaian,
which can easily be verified. Because if you say your mom is so and so and it's from this town, you can easily verify. Yeah. If you say your dad is so and so, is from this town, you can easily verify. What is on the face of a document? We don't believe it. But when two people come and say, "Oh yes," and even the the Ghana card, the Ghana card, you can actually use two guarantors. Yeah.
I guaranteed for three of my...
And when you do that, you only do an oath form.
Yeah, but you bring your identity.
So you can equally do it everywhere.
Thank you very much, the two of you. I am thinking that if somebody is issued a birth certificate it's even more closer, or there's some level of familiarity, because the birth, the people around, the family, which one is more authentic
Stronger proof.
Yes, so...
you know, Justice Achugba, in one of the judgments, Fosua and Fosuyini or something, made a point. He said, look, when there's the need for proof and someone has documentation, he said even the typical Ghanaian believe that book no lie. You understand? So if book no lie and you have a certificate of it issued from official source, if the other person cannot disprove the details or the representations on the official document, you want the state authority to throw that one away and believe your mere words? No, it cannot be.
Edu Tamaklo, thank you very much. And then Kofi Tonto, I wish you all the best.
Don't we have Pedro?
All right, so I have Imelda Nasa. Imelda, you have to tell me how to pronounce your surname. I don't know. I hope that it's your real surname. I think Nasa says Roland Walker, please. We are all strangers on this land. We're all not strangers. Everybody must go back to where they came from. By the end of June, Ghana must be empty. We're all not strangers.
The other people are not willing
now,
to receive.
Bright Tete says, the nationality of my parents or my birth certificate are Ghanaians. But that does not confer on me the nationality of my parents. So how do I prove I'm a citizen of Ghana at birth without the birth certificate? Is my citizenship in transit? And at what point do I finally become that Ghanaian? It's a question
Roland,
for all of us to ponder.
have a very good friend.
Over. That's Bright.
Today happens to be his birthday. It's popularly called Logas.
Logas.
Yeah.
Logas.
Yeah, today happens to be his birthday. And Rasbingi, happy birthday to
Do you know the deputy energy minister?
He turned 50.
He turned 50.
Deputy Energy Minister.
Yeah.
Deputy Energy Minister.
Ejapa.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was here.
No, we wished him. We wished him.
I was so shocked when I heard he's 50 years.
Why? He looks younger. Mo Ajimai says, I agree with Kofi Tonto that we have to improve on how we issue birth certificates. And
So you don't throw it away. You improve on
I know, right? We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you the latest sports headlines, and Kelvin will be right here. Stay with us. We'll be right back.